Welcome to the Mind Your Wedding Business podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 30 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. I'm here with Jordan Roepke of Jordan Roepke Photography, and we are talking about why being the first to reach your clients is better than being the best. So I'm really excited to jump into this topic with Jordan. So Jordan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how we got you here today?
Absolutely. You answered a Craigslist ad where I was seeking personals. And, you know, we just hit it off, had a couple of drinks, and here we are.
Go. And here we are.
My name is Jordan Roepke from Jordan Roepke Photography. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer, as well as a business mentor for photographers all over the world.
I love it. All right. So what do you mean, Jordan, when you say being first is better than being best?
Absolutely. So imagine this. You see a post in a local Facebook group for wedding vendors looking for exactly what you're offering.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, man, I have that data available. I am perfect. I'm exactly what this person is wanting. And there are 347 other comments on that post. There's a really good chance that no one in their right mind is going to check out all 347 people in that comment.
No.
Or maybe the comments have already been shut off, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that circumstance, like, is that couple going to hire the best person that fits them exactly? No, of course not. Because they're going to go through 10, 20, 30, 40 people, and then they're going to shut it down. It's too many. It's too many. And they're going to shut it down. And so, you know, maybe you were exactly the right choice. You would have given them everything they wanted. You were exactly in budget. You would have been best friends for the rest of your life. But they're never going to know because you were comment 348 on that post. So when you're fighting in that sort of environment, it's impossible, no matter how good you are. And that comes down to this, you know, I think we all have this idea in the back of our heads, which is, if I was a better photographer, more people would hire me. If I was a better florist, more people would hire me. If I was a better wedding officiant, if I was a better DJ, if I could get the newest speaker set up, or if I could get these hazers, or if I could get this, or if I had this, then people would hire me. You know, they didn't hire me because I wasn't using XYZ camera. And maybe for some people that's true. And I'm sure that, you know, as photographers, we've all had the dreaded inquiry of like, give me your gear list. It's like camera, lens, flash. That's my gear list. But it's really a trap because we live in this world where 95% of what people see are iPhone photos. 95% of what people see are snapshots. 95% of what people see are this curated version of whatever the environment is of these people. And they're not necessarily going to know that you took that photo on a 10-year-old camera or a 5-year-old camera or a whatever. They're going to see your work. They're going to go, yes, I like it. No, I don't. And if they don't have the opportunity to look at your work, it doesn't matter how good you are, because you were number 437 of that list.
You made me laugh. You made me think of something when you were talking about the gear list and all that, and when couples do that, and it just makes me laugh because many years ago, I started out as a DJ. You know, we do so much more like lighting, decor, drapery, all that stuff. Now, DJing is not the most important thing that we do. But when I was just a DJ, we would do bridal fairs, which were a thing. I'm going to date myself how old I am, but we would have all our gear set up, and it was like, are you selling the gear? Are you selling yourself? You know, and so I went to a class and we stopped bringing our gear to the shows. And then it started a conversation with people. And then we started talking because we were the only ones there without speakers and blaring music and lights shining in everyone's eyes. And it started a conversation. And then before you know it, within about 2 years, no one was bringing gear to the bridal fairs because what I was doing actually worked. And so I learned from someone. But yeah, but it just, sometimes I think the couples ask those questions because they don't know what else to ask. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, on the other hand, have you ever seen the movie The Founder?
No, I have not.
About Ray Kroc, who I would say founded McDonald's. He stole McDonald's, but he founded the corporation.
I saw that. Yes, I have.
Yeah. There's that scene where he's talking to this business partner who's investing in the company, and he's kind of laying out, we get this % commission on the cheeseburgers and we get this, and he looks at him and he says, you don't know what business you're in. You're not in the hamburger business. You're in the real estate business. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a huge problem that we have with vendors. Like, you don't know what business you're in. You're not in the photography business. You're in the connecting with people business.
Yeah.
And we could be a little pessimistic and say that we're all salespeople, which is true.
Yes.
But really, all of that is about connection. And, it doesn't really matter what your best is compared to somebody else's best, or what your price is compared to somebody else's price. What matters is, can you connect with the person who is in front of you? And if you can do that effectively, then you will be successful.
And I think that's a hard lesson for people in the wedding industry to learn, because because they just want to do every wedding, but you're not for everyone. And once you, I think, learn that, I think it's kind of like a weight is lifted off your shoulders, and you're like, okay, I don't have to do every wedding. I they're not my couple. And I learned that probably the hard way too many times, because I'm at this wedding, I'm going, what am I doing here? It wasn't fun. But then once I learned to connect with my ideal couples, when it became fun again. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. We are in Nashville. I'm based in Nashville, and Nashville, I believe, is either number 2 or number 1. I'm not sure if we passed Vegas for weddings.
I heard you guys are giving them a run for their money. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I think Nashville's number 1 or number 2. And so, there are hundreds of thousands of weddings in the Nashville area every year. How many can you do?
Yeah.
50? 100? 200, 500 if you have a big team. And so the idea of there's plenty for everyone. And I don't believe in oversaturation. That's not a thing that I believe in. I think that it's your job as a service provider to differentiate yourself and to do the things that you need to do to connect with the people that you need to connect with, which, like you said, is not everybody. You don't need everybody. You need a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the people who are getting married in your given area, in your territory, to be able to have a successful business.
Yeah, love it. All right. So why do so many wedding pros obsess over perfection instead of speed and responsiveness?
I think it's that artistic mentality that we all have. I think that we live in a world where we have so much access to things, and we have so much information and so little knowledge in the world that we live in. And you can flip through TikTok and see a million photographers that are better than you, or that you like their work better than you like your work. I don't even want to say better or worse, right? Like, you see something and you're drawn to that. You can find a million photographers who tick that box in an hour when you're just flipping TikTok, or Instagram or anything like that. And a lot of it is just so much noise, because that's what that is there for. Right? It's there for just this bombarding of content. And that's what we have turned what we do into this idea of content. Everyone's shifted to content. Well, what is content? Content is completely disposable. It is something that you create with the idea that you will get as many people as possible to engage with that content, and then they just bounce off. Right? You're chasing the numbers, you're chasing the likes, you're chasing this, that, and the other thing. I have a very small Instagram following, and I shoot 20, 30, 40 weddings a year. I shoot all over the country. I don't post on social media a whole lot, mostly because I'd rather be spending time with my wife and my cats and my dog and my son and, all the people in my life that I would rather do. I'd rather be up playing, to be completely honest, I'd rather be playing PlayStation than posting on Instagram. And so it just, you get lost in this shuffle of creating content, which is not really designed to sell anything to people. And so if you can engage with somebody, number one, you got to be there early, because people are just going to bounce off. Like I said, with content, you have to be the first thing that pops up on their feed, or you have to be the first person to respond, or ideally you are showing your work to them before they even know that they're looking for you. That is the best thing to do, because if you can get out ahead of a client, if you can get out ahead of a situation, then you get to control the narrative of the rest of their journey. And that can be a really powerful thing.
And how would a wedding professional do that?
So for me, I do a lot of paid advertising through Meta. And so that is, you're leveraging this idea of the algorithm is designed to show you things that it thinks that you will engage with. And the great thing is, nobody knows that you're engaged faster than Facebook. Nobody knows. The first thing you do, you're going to post those the photos that your friend who was hiding in the bushes took with his phone. You're going to post that photo of the ring. You're going to flip your relationship status over to engaged, and Meta's going to go, I got you. Right. And it's going to start bombarding you with everything that it thinks that you're going to want to engage with. No pun intended. Now that your relationship status has changed. And if you can be on that wave of the first few things that they see, with a compelling reason to book, whether that is some sort of offer or some sort of free resource that you can give to people, you will be first on their list of names. And that can be helpful. It's great to be the first person to comment on that Facebook post, but what's even better is getting booked before they even make that Facebook post.
I love that. That's a great advice. Do you also work with Google? You said Google as well?
I do. I have done some things with Google. The problem with Google is that Google is really relying on what you're searching for. So what I feel like is that Google ads are great for replacing a lot of time and effort with SEO, because you can pop $5 or $10 a day into Google, and all of a sudden you're the number one listing. You don't have to manage all your keywords. You don't have to do all your alt texts. You don't have to tag and get backlinks and do all of that stuff. The first 3 to 5 search results that you will get when you search anything on Google is paid advertisement. And so the Google is great if you have a couple who is looking for, if you have a really strong brand identity and you have a couple that is looking for that particular brand identity. However, if you are, in a position like most of us, most couples don't know what they're looking for. Most couples don't know what they need. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't really understand kind of like, the process of getting married, from, engagement to honeymoon. And so if you can be the first person up there, then they're going to compare everybody else to you, as opposed to comparing you to everybody else.
Yeah, get that connection quick. All right, so Jordan, so we got them from a paid ad, or we got them from where to the website, or they found you on social media, and now they've made that inquiry. And so, how does responsive, like immediately build trust with these folks, before the conversation even starts?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing is, don't stop sending emails. Don't send an email, send a text message.
Oh.
Because if you look at the statistics, emails have about a 12% response rate. Text messages have about an 86% response rate. So you will vastly improve your response time by texting people. The second thing is, and let me preface this by saying, in no way am I telling you to withhold information from your couples, but they need to have a reason to engage with you. Because if you are, I'm going to use a bad example, so I apologize to everyone who's listening to this, but if you are a young person and you get dressed up really nice and you go out to the bar, maybe with a group of friends who are the same, sex, gender as you are, and, you're looking good and it's a hip crowd, somebody comes up and starts talking to you, trying to hit on you, flirting with you, you kind of know what you're there for, right? You're looking good. You're there to see and be seen, all that kind of stuff, right? If you roll out of bed in the morning, if you're a young person, you roll out of bed in the morning, and I'm sure this is much more applicable to women than it is to men, and your hair is kind of, you have a messy bun and you got your yoga pants on and you're just going down the street to get a coffee. Somebody rolls up to you and starts hitting on you, then that's a little bit weird. And so you want to have a reason for your couples to engage with you and for you to engage with your couples. And if you're if you get an inquiry and you just go, great, here's my pricing, crickets, right?
Yeah.
Because that is important, but that's not what you sell, right? Because what you have told that person, that inquiry at that time is, you need photos, I do photos, here is what photos cost. But what you are not establishing is the relationship. As a wedding photographer, I spend more time with you on your wedding day than your mom. I spend more time with you on your wedding day than your partner. I spend more time with you on your wedding day than your maid of honor. So if you don't like your wedding photographer, if you don't connect with your wedding photographer, that's a bummer, man. And so what clients think that they want is, I want someone who can produce this style of photo for this amount of money. And the truth is, those two things come way, way, way distant third to, I want somebody who understands what I want. And it is way more important to have that connection and that understanding than it is to actually have the final deliverable. And I think that is really, really important. If you think about any successful company that exists, I'll use the example of BMW. That's the example I always use, right? You don't buy a BMW because you need to get to work. You can buy a Kia, you can buy a 20-year-old used truck, you can buy whatever you want to buy to get to work. You buy a BMW because it's the ultimate driving experience. You buy a BMW because you are the kind of person who drives a BMW. You buy a BMW because when you go to the dealership, they know your first name. And that is the experience that you are providing to your client. You don't need to spend $70,000 on a car. Well, it's 2026. Maybe you do need to spend $70,000 on a car.
You kind of do now.
But you can buy, a used $5,000, junk bucket and get to work. But it's a different thing that you're selling, right? You're not selling utility, you're selling experience. And the only way to show people that that's what you're giving them is to have conversations. And so the first thing is text message. I know I kind of got off topic a little bit, but
that's okay.
You send the text message, and then that text message is designed to get people on a phone call. And so for me, I send a text message. Hey, just got your inquiry. This is Jordan from Jordan Roepke Photography. Thank you so much. You just sent me an inquiry for this date. Is this person? Is this Stacy? Yep, this is Stacy. Yes, I sent you that information. I sent you that inquiry. What are your prices? Right? Because that's the number one thing that we hear is, what do you charge? Because I don't have my pricing on my website. And I encourage everybody to take their pricing off of their website. Everybody complains about it, but trust me. Great. Yep, absolutely. I'd love to talk to you about your wedding day. When would be a good time for us to hop on a phone call? I ignore the pricing question because the truth is, I don't know what it's going to cost. What do you need? I don't know what you need. Are you having a 2-hour elopement 5 minutes from my house? Are you having a 3-day wedding weekend in Venice? Those are very drastically different scopes of work. And so it would be disingenuous for me to say, I charge this much, because maybe I don't for your particular circumstance. Then when I get on the phone, we have a really great conversation. I talk to them about them and them as a couple, and I get to understand them, and I talk to them about what's important for them when they're experiencing their photography, not just somebody showing up and taking pictures, but like, are you imagining having a big, beautiful wedding album that you guys can sit on the couch and flip through, and, maybe he's being a jerk and you need to remember why you married him in the first place,
They usually
are
do.
you imagining, are you imagining having a wedding film that you guys can watch? If you are imagining a wedding film, are you thinking, something short and sweet that you can post to social media? Do you want a 6-hour Lord of the Rings extended edition cut? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Like those sorts of questions, because you don't want them thinking about the process of hiring a photographer. You don't want them thinking about what it's going to be like on the day. You want them thinking about how they're going to enjoy these images for years to come. Now, if you are not somebody who is providing something after the day, like a photographer is, if you're a DJ, then you might be asking, are your friends party people, or are they a little bit more mellow? Do you want music during cocktail hour? Do you want music during dinner? Are we doing a plated dinner? Are we doing a buffet? What's important for you? Is it more important for you that people are dancing and having fun and just having a club atmosphere? Is it more important for you that, that it's a more chill affair? Are you guys just going to be walking and talking and hanging out? Are you guys going to be cutting the rug and making a big scene? Like, what's going on? So that's all pieces of information that you need to know in order to correctly provide pricing. So that's why I say take your pricing off of your website.
Yeah.
And then after the phone call, then I say, hey, let's get on a Zoom call, because I want to meet you guys face to face. I never want to be a stranger showing up on your wedding day. I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to work with me. We'll talk about all the different pricing, and I'll have quotes for you and all that good stuff. And we kind of go from there. But number one, you are meeting people where they live. You're not just getting lost in the inbox. You are part of the experience of booking you, which I think is really, really important. There's a big incentive now to give things over to AI, or to let these scheduling softwares do things or that. And that's great if you got weddings coming out your ears, if you're super, super busy and you can't be bothered, like, okay, great. You are in a place where those automated things are great. But for most people, if you don't have a completely full calendar for the next couple of years, you have to make that human connection. It is so important. And if you can do that before anybody else, then you can establish a set of expectations for everybody else, because then you're going to stand out against everybody else who is sending an email with a pricing guide. And that makes a big difference.
I love it. All right. So you were talking, about texting and different. So what kind of systems or habits allow you to respond quickly without being like glued to your phone 24/7?
So this is a secret hack. So I'm going to share something kind of secret with you guys.
Love it.
And it's not secret to people who are in like sales and enterprise and things like that. But the CRM that I use is a CRM called Go High Level.
Okay.
Go High Level is designed for sales teams in like corporate environments. That's what it's there for. But the thing with Go High Level is that you can white label it. So there are a lot of different versions. There are a lot of different CRMs that are out there that basically use Go High Level as your base. So you can go to gohighlevel.com and subscribe right from Go High Level. I use a white labeled software called WedLaunch. So if you go to wedlaunch.com, you can sign up for WedLaunch. If you are not a wedding photographer, I know if you're listening to this, then then it's a wedding business. But if you do other things, then there are other ones as well. I used a white label version called Meet Nikki for a while. That's actually focused towards boudoir photographers, but it's the same system. It works for everybody. And the great thing about Go High Level is that it has text message automation built in. And so when I get an inquiry through a Facebook ad, it is linked to my Facebook. I have a studio manager named Tessa, who is wonderful. And basically the first 3 text messages that go out for Tessa are completely automated. It is a photo of Tessa with a text message that says, "Hey, this is Tessa from Jordan Roepke Photography." The second text message goes out after another 15 seconds to emulate someone actually typing a text message on their phone. And it says, "Thank you so much for inquiring. We got your inquiry. I want to make sure that this experience is smooth for you and that you can ask me any questions you have, that you feel really comfortable throughout this whole process." And then the third text message is, "So tell me all about you and your fiance, and how long have you been together? Just give me all the details, right? Give me all the tea." And the nice thing about having that system automated is that if people aren't going to respond to you, if you get ghosted or whatever, then you haven't spent any time. But as soon as they do respond, then I get a little notification that I got a new text message from somebody. And so then, she can hop in or I can hop in and we can kind of continue the conversation from there and direct people towards a phone call.
I love it. All right. So how can wedding pros balance fast responses with healthy boundaries? Because I think that's something in the wedding industry that a lot of us lack is healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, myself included.
Yeah.
I would say having the automation is huge.
Okay.
At least for that initial step. Having those types of automations are very helpful because those are automations that are going to direct people towards making a connection.
Okay.
As opposed to the types of automations that basically, not the Ron Popeil set it and forget it system of management that a lot of automation is. And as far as I know, Go High Level is one of the only CRMs that has an integrated text message automation. And what is great about that is, let's say somebody doesn't respond to that initial text message. I have it wait a couple of days and send them another text message automatically. And then I have it wait a couple of days and have them send another text message automatically. And then I have it wait a couple of days and send another text message automatically. So I don't even have to worry about follow-ups. It's just built into the system that if they don't respond, then it's gonna nudge them a little bit. And the text message, I don't want to say they get pushy or anything, but it is like, "Hey, did you get my last text message?" Or, "Hey, are you still interested in this? Oh, looks like you're not interested in this. Totally cool. We'll remove you from our thing." And a lot of times that last text message, "Hey, I guess you're not into it." "Oh, no, I am. They come back real quick. So that's really, really helpful. So just having a system that is going to kind of handle those follow-ups for you. A lot of people will do like email drips and things like that, but again, it goes back to the email. Now I just have another piece of junk mail in my inbox that's not personalized. Like, yeah, it has my name, but it's like, why couples choose Jordan Roepke Photography for their whatever. Like, I've never done that. I think it's kind of a waste. Good money after bad, especially when you're using a system that charges you per email sent or things like that. So you really want to sort of maximize that. I know you said we can swear on the podcast, but
yeah, you sure can.
You kind of want to maximize that shit or get off the pot mentality, and just kind of get through that initial phase so that you can start connecting with people.
Yeah, no, I think, and it's like, again, starting back to the beginning where you said we're in the connection, but it's about connecting with people, and that's where they're going to hire us. So, all right, you talked about Go High Level, but is there like a simple workflow change that can dramatically improve response time? Is it using High Level or having a good CRM, or what do you think that is?
I mean, definitely moving to text messages is going to impact a lot. And, don't be freaked out if people are treating text messages like email, because that's kind of what they are nowadays. Your email is for your junk and your text messages are for the things you actually want to get to eventually, for the most part. Who knows what that's going to be, because I get a bunch of junk text messages too. But I think that's huge. I mean, there are other independent systems that I've been seeing. I think there's like Blue Check or something like that as a system that'll integrate like iMessage into your existing CRMs.
Something,
things like that.
And there's one I just learned about, and I'm blanking on the name right now, that at Wedding MBA too, that someone was setting up.
Is it Text Magic?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's another
there's
big
platforms out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, just having something like that is, like I said, you go from about a 12% response rate to about an 86% response rate when you do that. And also, don't give everybody everything all the time, Because
Yeah.
again, if you're sending everything out in one big blast, then the bride's going to get it and go, oh, well, I want photos. This is a photographer. I like their work. I have their pricing. I don't really need to talk to them again. I have everything I need.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody comes along who's going to do the phone call, who's going to do the Zoom call, who's going to, do a pitch and a sell and work with these people, and close them on the call. And then you're like, well, I sent this pricing guide like 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard back from them because they're so excited about the photographer that actually connected with them that they ended up hiring, or ended up, same thing with wedding planners or florists or sort of any of those people.
Yeah. We're perfect in the wedding industry. We all are. But what mistakes do you see vendors make after responding quickly that still cost them the booking?
I think that, you can do everything right and still not get the booking. And that goes back to, are you the right fit? Because there are going to be people that just don't want to get on a phone call. And I've accepted that those people are not my kinds of people. Because I'm sure you have this experience as well, that you have a wedding, you're like, oh man, I got this date booked, or I don't have this date and I really kind of want to get it booked. And I guess I'll bend over a little backwards. I'll break my systems a little bit to get this booking. And then you do, and then the wedding's a nightmare,
Yep.
And, no offense to anybody listening to this.
No, but I mean, I was that way.
All brides and groups are wonderful.
But I was that way when I started. I wanted everything and I didn't care. And if I started, I'm old, so I started a long time ago, but we would do a lot of school events back in the day. And so, a school would say, we only have $500 for a DJ. Sure. When I was charging more, you know what I'm saying? And I would do whatever I can because I thought that one booking would get me another, I was just too eager.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's a problem that I see a lot of wedding vendors kind of run into, which is like, oh man, I booked this date, 2 years ago. This person wanted to book me and they paid me in full, and it's great. And now I have, I'm 2 years better. And I'm 2 years more experienced, and someone just inquired for that date and they want my biggest package. And now my prices are 10 times what they were, or 5 times what they were back then. And now I got to turn down this $10,000 wedding to do this $1,800 wedding that I booked 2 years ago with these people that I don't even know, versus this couple who we met and they love me and they, whatever. And, there are things that you can do, like, you can associate out the new wedding. Don't associate out the old wedding. Like, that's bad business.
Yeah.
There was one instance where I booked a wedding in Nashville on a Friday, and then somebody wanted to book me in Virginia on a Saturday. And so I went to the couple and I was like, I will absolutely still do your wedding. Here's the deal. I have an associate that can do your wedding, if that's okay with you. But otherwise I'm just going to fly out to Virginia overnight and do the next wedding. But if it's okay with you, we can do this. And they were very understanding, and they got that. But it was a very specific set of circumstances that I kind of don't want to go into right now.
Yeah.
There's kind of a reason that I did that. Under any normal circumstances, I wouldn't do that. But, a lot of times if you connect with people and they kind of become your friends and they kind of understand when things happen, as opposed to the couple who's just looking for the cheapest person. And then, you fall down and, like what happened to me, I was walking downstairs. I was doing some editing in my office, and I walked downstairs and our little RoboVac mop was at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh, my wife loves those, and I hate those things.
I mean, I love ours, except for this one time. It was spitting out too much water, and I didn't even think about it. And I went to step over it, completely did the splits off the stairs.
Ouch.
Totally. I probably tore my hamstring or whatever. And I shot three weddings after that on one leg. Doing that, but again, that kind of goes back to, like, if those were couples that I didn't know, that I had booked 2 years ago, that paid me in full for like $1,700 weddings, like, I would have been miserable. I'm hobbling around this thing for 10 hours on one leg because whatever. When you're booking a wedding, like, you have to sort of be, sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, but
no, go.
If you're booking me 2 years in advance, which does happen, you're not booking me today. You're booking the photographer that I will be in 2 years.
Yeah.
And that photographer will have 2 years more experience, that photographer will be 2 years better. That
for
photographer
sure.
will have much newer equipment. That photographer will have, all those things. And so then you're asking the photographer that you will be in 2 years to do the job for the photographer you are now. You know what I mean? It's like you're associating it out to your future self.
Yeah.
And so you have to take that into consideration when you're choosing to take these gigs and what to charge. And when you're having these conversations with people. So
Yeah.
that's all important to kind of figuring out, like, is this really worth it for me to do?
Yeah, it's hard. And a long time ago, I used to do a lot of subcontract work for an audiovisual company in San Francisco, and it was a good during the week stuff. So I would go in and do like sort of corporate events or whatever. But the owner of that used to say something like when something was really hard, and he would always say, "Some dollars come hard, and some dollars come easy. You never know which one." And it just, and for
Yeah.
some reason, when something is like really hard or something goes, I'm always like, some dollars come hard, and it just, that's how it does. And some dollars come really easily, and you just, and hopefully it all melds out and it always becomes one. So
Yeah.
it just
And
is.
it's your job as a professional to not make it any harder on yourself than it has to be.
No. But those,
like, you kind of
and
get
then
to decide.
But if you do make it hard on yourself, learn from it and don't make that same mistake again as you go. Yeah, that's a big thing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What's the hard truth about inquiries that wedding pros don't want to hear?
Hard truth about inquiries that wedding pros don't want to hear. I mean, we're hammering on this episode, but not everybody's your client.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right.
Not everybody's your client. And I know there's a real pressure. Like, it's, if you're a business owner, if you are a creative person, it is very, very easy to feel like a failure. And it is very, very easy to feel like, that one inquiry was the difference between my kid getting a secondhand bike for Christmas and getting the brand new Huffy. Like, that one inquiry was the difference between me being able to afford that 28-70 f2 lens. That one inquiry was the difference between us taking our usual vacation to Cancun or us having to go to Florida. But I think one thing that I love to remember when I'm feeling imposter syndrome about losing a client is one of my favorite quotes of all time is, "I have offended both God and mankind, for my work is not of the quality it should have been." And those were the last words of Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
And if Leonardo da Vinci had imposter syndrome, there's no hope for any of us. So you just kind of got to deal with what you got to deal with,
Yeah.
And so, like, if you lose an inquiry, it is not your personal failure. If you lose an inquiry and you did everything you needed to do, then it is not your fault.
Yeah.
And you should be able to give yourself a little bit of grace. And if you lose an inquiry and you half-assed it, like, maybe have a little bit of a come to Jesus with yourself and say, hey, you know what? I knew what I was supposed to do. I didn't do that. I lost the inquiry. Next time, let me do what I'm supposed to do, and maybe you get the shot. Second half of this answer, because I just thought of it, is that sometimes you lose an inquiry because you're too expensive. But sometimes you lose an inquiry because you're too cheap. And if, going back to my example of BMWs, if I see a used BMW on Facebook Marketplace for $8,000, maybe it's in my budget and maybe it's not, but I understand why that car is $8,000. If I see a used BMW on Facebook Marketplace for $500, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Is it full of bees? Like, what's going on? And so you might be producing work that is just not commensurate with your price point, whether that is, or your experience that you're providing might not be commensurate with your price point, or your experience that you're professing to provide to your couples might not be commensurate with your price point. And so I think as wedding vendors, a lot of times, especially if you're in the service end of it, not necessarily florists or caterers or things like that, We have this, oh God, I'm not getting any bookings. I got to lower my price. I got to lower my price. That
Yeah.
is the surest way to just tank your business,
Oh,
you
for
know?
sure.
And if you were listening to this podcast, I don't care what you charge, double your
Yeah.
pricing right now.
Yeah. I did go
You
to
know,
a conference one, and they said every 10 weddings you should be raising your pricing. And I was like,
that's great. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, that's
Yeah.
pretty bold. I don't know if I could do that, but yes.
Yeah. Back in my previous life, I was a musician and I worked for Guitar Center, as all musicians do when you're
I
in
was
your
gonna
early
say
20s.
isn't that part of the rite of passage?
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to have your Guitar Center employee number tattooed on your forearm. But the Fender guy took us out, and sorry, it was the Gibson guy took us out for drinks one night, and he was talking about how Gibson kind of did their numbers, and they determined that if they raised their prices by about 30%, they would lose X amount of customers, but they would still make more money because the additional profits would take care of the sales that they lost. And
With less
I think
stress.
and as vendors, we have this idea that busy equals successful. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of photographers who are my friends who they're shooting 7, 8, 10 sessions a week, and no shade to them, but they're still living in a trailer.
Yeah.
And you're just like, if you're that busy and you're still struggling financially, you are too busy to be that broke,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to figure yourself out.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It just, well, and I feel like too, in the wedding industry, there's so many of us that are guilty of FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a wedding on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever, and we're scrolling Instagram, and you see your competitor, you see someone else you know, at a venue or whatever, and you're just like, it just like, we got imposter syndrome. We got to stop it, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know so many venues, especially in Nashville, where they're sort of these like portfolio worthy venues, but they're such a pain in the ass to work at. I mean, you gotta pay them to be on their preferred vendor list, and then if you're not on their
Oh,
preferred vendor list, you gotta like have 3 meetings there and do a whole rundown, and you gotta pay an extra fee, and it's just like, no, man, like I don't care that much.
yeah.
I'm here for my couples. I'm not here for the portfolio.
Yeah.
I don't post on social media very often. I don't have a huge following. I don't really care that much about it. What I care is that my couples love working with me and that they love their photos.
Yeah.
And if that is out in grandpa's backfield somewhere, great. I don't need to shoot at, the hottest venue
Yeah.
in my area.
The ABC wedding venue. Yep. You
Yeah,
don't have to get in there.
exactly.
So, all right. So, as we wrap up, Jordan, if wedding pros could improve just one thing after listening to this episode, what should it be?
Well, I'll give you 2. Number 1,
Okay.
raise your
I like
prices.
two. Oh, one,
Number 1,
raise
raise your
prices.
prices. That's the easy thing. If you are a photographer who is listening to this, if you're a wedding photographer and you've shot more than 10 weddings and you're still charging less than $3,500, raise your prices up to at least $3,500. Do your cost of doing business. Figure out what you got to charge. It's going to shock you. And the price is the price, right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about competing. Would you repeat the question for me one more time?
Wedding pros could improve just one thing after listening to this episode. What should it be?
Yeah. The second thing would be stop sending emails. Move to text messages. Stop sending emails. You will see a huge difference in the amount of people who respond to you. Stop sending prices. Just connect. Just connect with people. Just talk to people. And when you get people on the phone, if you send them over a price, and let's say you're charging $6,500 for a wedding, and you get them on the phone, and they're super cool, and the wedding is just down the street, and it's a venue that you love working at, and there's a DJ that you love working with, and the wedding planner, you love working with it, and their budget is $5,000. If you just send them over the price sheet, they're going to go, well, I can't afford it. My budget's $5,000. Maybe you want to do it for $5,000. Maybe it's a wedding on a Tuesday. And you're like, I got nothing going on Tuesday. Yeah, this is easy for me. I can do it for $5,000. Let's have a conversation. Let's build a relationship here.
Yeah.
Because, don't do it for $500, but
Yeah.
you can meet people, and you can decide, we we didn't get into this business to work 40 hours a week. You know,
Yeah.
we got into it to work 24/7. No, we, but if it's just a job,
but it's
then,
true. It's true.
Yeah. But this is not just a job. This should be something that supports the way that you want to live your life, and you get to decide how that is.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Jordan, where can our folks, listeners find you and learn more about you and your work?
Absolutely. You can find me on all of the socials at Jordan Roepke Photography. That's JordanRoep as in Peter, KE Photography. And you can find me at www.jordanroepkephotography.com.
All right, folks, and we'll have all of Jordan's information in the show notes and the email blast that goes out. And so that way you'll be able to connect with him and learn more about all his wonderful things that he's doing. So, Jordan, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin. Had a blast.
Oh, I love it. All right, folks, thank you for listening to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business, brought to you by Wedding IQ. If you've got a topic you'd love to hear us cover, or if there's an area of your business you're struggling with, let us know and we'd be happy to help. Don't forget to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and left a review. It helps more wedding pros find us and learn more from our guests too. Thanks again for listening to Mind Your Wedding Business. We'll catch you next time.